Guinea fowl are indeed foul. The guinea fowl are birds of the family Nummididae in the order Galliformes. They are from Africa, and they are very old, but they are also very ugly, and they are very loud, and they are just horrible creatures. Even their skin and their meat is strange. It's almost alien-like, but fortunately, they taste great, like a cross between a fine chicken and a turkey. I would be happy to personally control their numbers with this recipe. So you're going to start with these ingredients here. We got salt, pepper, garlic, butter, chicken stock. We've got little potatoes, and we've got some carrots and habanero and peas and tomatoes and mushrooms and all kinds of stuff there. You'll find that stuff at the bottom here. Okay, so we got some bacon here, and thick cut bacon, whatever. Reduce it down so you can get some of that good bacon fat. And you're going to caramelize these shallots. Red onion works fine as well, or any kind of onion, really. We're not building a bomb here. This is really simple. So we're going to stir that around, make sure it coats the pan properly there. We want everything to get along. We're going to put a little salt and a little pepper. And we're going to caramelize these shallots, and we're going to brown up these potatoes a little bit and reduce this bacon. A little salt and a little pepper. Now we're going to remove that from the pan so as they do not get overcooked. But we wanted some of that flavor in there. Now this is a real one-pot meal. This other pot that you see there is simply because I could not find a bowl. But this works fine. Now, you can see that we have a little bit of that bacon grease left over in there. And that's what we want. We want a little bit of that. But we're going to supplement it with some olive oil. Again, this isn't overly complicated. Use whatever oil. We're not cooking at a real high temperature. We're not deep frying. We just want that pan coated. Now, you're going to taste the olive oil a little bit if you're really good at tasting things. Now, this guinea fowl has been pieced out. I rarely cook them as a whole bird, but you can. It's not a big deal. Here's a leg quarter here, and then we're going to add breast and the tenderloin from the breast because I didn't do a good job of taking that breast off, as well as the wing. Now, when you put the wing in there, you want to break it down so you got the flat and the drum, and take that wing tip off, and that way you can brown it up properly. And you'll see what I mean here in a second. Make sure you get some oil on that stuff. There went the tenderloin, there is the flat, and there's the drum. Now the goal here is to just brown the skin a bit. We're going to seal it up a little. We're going to add a little bit of flavor. Get a little bit of that flavor from the bacon directly into the skin and the meat, and get some of this crispy stuff down onto the pan. Now, if you have a skillet available, that's ideal. But my skillet is dirty and I didn't feel like cleaning it, so I'm just using this here non-stick pan. Now, this is a Blue Diamond non-stick, I believe. It's a modern non-stick, so it doesn't have the chemicals or whatever. It's not the dangerous one. So, salt and pepper again. Like most things, you're going to want to season as you go. Give it a little shake. Make sure nothing is sticking, and let's let that brown. Now, this pan is set to medium-high. I rarely go above medium-high. And you see how quickly that works? It's already starting to brown. I'm going to give them a little flip. Make sure you brown all the sides. And you see on that leg there, there's a portion of that leg that needs to be propped up in order to brown. And you may have to do that with some of these odd pieces. So don't feel intimidated by having to lean a piece of meat up on the side of the pan or whatever you got to do to get all that skin browned. Very important for the flavor. Now, once your meat is browned, we're going to go ahead and add the potatoes and the shallots and the bacon back to the pan. We're going to keep that flavor coming and make sure you scrape all that good stuff out of the pan. Make sure nothing is sticking. Get it all spread out there nicely. Don't forget the little shallots that are stuck to the other pan or your bowl or whatever. You want all those coming with you. That's 3 shallots I used in this dish, but eyeball it as you go. Just use as much as your pan can hold or as much as you want. Now this is a mature habanero that I'm placing in there. Just cut in half like that, add some good heat. These are rainbow carrots. Now, I'm not convinced that the color of the carrot influences the flavor. Obviously the freshness of the carrot does, and there are some species of carrot that taste better than others. But use whatever carrots you have on hand. These are just pretty, so I picked them up. Gotta make a video after all. So what's next? Well, naturally, we're going to add some mushrooms. Now this is an earthy comfort kind of food. These mushrooms are baby bella mushrooms, pretty sizable, and I've quartered them in order to maintain some size to them. Don't want to cut them too thin unless you like a soft or rubbery, overcooked mushroom. In this case, I want to look at a big mushroom, and I don't want it overcooked. So the bigger, the better in certain regards. Quartering them like this allows you to spread them out and they don't take up too much room in the pan. Now this is thyme. I leave them on the stem and just place the bunch in there. You can take the time to use your fingers and pull off all of those little leaves if you want to keep them in there. I don't really care in this instance. I want those aromatics running through there. And running through there they do. Now, if you've got time to make your own stock, I recommend you do that. You can actually take the carcass of the guinea and the wing tips and really anything that you didn't use and make your own stock, adding vegetables. But I didn't have any on hand. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning here and I didn't feel like dealing with it. This stock works just fine. You can find it in your grocery store. And you can even drop the lid on the floor for good luck. So, one key thing here to remember is that the guinea fowl is the star of the show. So you don't have to get ridiculous with the ingredients, but you can get ridiculous if you want to. So you can use the basic ingredients that you might have in your fridge already with the carrots and white onions and whatever. You can do all that, but it'll go as far as you want it to go as well. So this is kind of a middle of the road situation. Season as you go, adding a little salt and pepper at this step as well. So at some point this year, soon, we'll have some of these ingredients, and at one point we'll have all of these ingredients pretty much. We'll have the thyme, and we'll have the pepper, and we'll have the carrots, and we won't have the mushrooms, but those are easy to find. The garlic we'll probably have, so all of these things we'll pretty much have at the ranch, and we'll definitely have fowl. We actually just processed a good number of fowl, and we're processing more all the time. So we'll be able to provide you just a basket of most of this stuff. Now, here's my own personal seasoning blend. I use scorpion peppers and reaper peppers and ghost peppers and sea salt and some charcoal salt, a combination of peppercorns and such. It's really a fantastic seasoning. But use what you like. Although salt and pepper will do just fine here. It just adds a little bit more heat. So these are some sweet cherry tomatoes, okay? These are fantastic. Again, we'll have these for you here coming up in a few months. Couple months, 2-3 months, something like that. And maybe for the rest of the year on into December. So add these in there whenever you want. If you like a more cooked tomato, you can put them in the beginning. If you're like me and you like just a slightly cooked tomato, put them in at this stage. Now we're going to want to cover the pan. And not with that lid because it doesn't fit. Funny enough, this lid doesn't fit either. And I'm fairly certain that this third lid is of the same size. I was poorly prepared. So, when in doubt, just use a dome for your griddle. That worked fine. So, after about 10 minutes, we're going to take that dome off. I'm adding some peas here. Again, you can use beans, you could put stuff in it. You know, really, that is so many recipes can be done that way. If you want to follow along with this one directly, these are frozen organic peas from your freezer section. And again, these will be in season here one of these days soon. In the meantime, this is what we have. And peas are earthy. They add a nice sweet earthy flavor. Get a little pop in there, a little crunch if you don't overcook them. And a little bit of green in there is good as well. Make sure everything is down in the pool and getting a good bath. And then we're going to cover her back up. So once that's simmered for another 5 minutes or so, we're going to take the meat out. Take that guinea out so that it doesn't overcook either. Now, this is a one-pot meal, but you're going to have to do it in some stages. If you'd rather do it in different pans all over the stove, you're welcome to do that. But we're going to go ahead and just keep it in one and remove this fowl. Now, this is pretty handy because that minimizes your dishes on date night. Of course, if you have kids, that doesn't matter. Just send them in there, of course. But, it's date night. Send the kids to the movies or something, right? So, we're also going to want to take the thyme out. Now, like I said before, if you've taken the leaves off of the stems, no big deal. But if you have the stems in there, take them out. Nobody wants to eat the stems. I don't think. I've never met anybody that wants to eat the stems. So I'm just going to assume that person doesn't exist. So look through there. Don't be afraid to pick through there and make sure you got them all, because you don't want anybody biting down into a mouthful of that. Stir it up a little bit more. Now at this point, you can take the vegetables out if you like them a little less cooked, or you can leave them in there to cook a little longer. There's that tenderloin from the breast. Don't want to leave that in there. That's your taster. We're going to set that to the side as well. Just make sure everybody's in there and getting along. See how I pressed in the middle of that potato? That's how I knew that that potato was cooked enough for me. And if you like them less, take them out. If you like them more, leave them in. Now we're going to put about a half a stick there of Kerrygold butter. I love that stuff. And salted, unsalted, doesn't really matter. I haven't found. Then we're going to add some wine. Now the Kerrygold or the whatever butter you have on hand, that's going to give it a velvety kind of a luxurious shine and add a little deeper flavor to it. And the wine is going to kick it up a notch, as one human being has said a number of times on television. So right now, this wine is a red color. And another reason to take the meat out at this stage is so that the wine doesn't dye the meat, so to speak. It will change the color of the meat if it's in there, just slightly. We don't really want to do that. I don't really want to do that, but you can. There are some recipes some old recipes actually, that call for marinating your fowl in wine, red wine. I don't do that. Now, while that comes back up to a simmer, we're going to taste that tenderloin. It was delicious. And look at that. You can tell it's still juicy, flavorful, fantastic. So we had it simmering again for about another 5 minutes. And we're going to take my mouth is watering just doing this. We're going to take those vegetables out as the camera falls. So we're going to get those out of there. So they're cooked enough for me. You could have taken them out a little earlier. You can leave them in a little longer. Leaving a few in there, it's not a big deal. It'll add more flavor to the sauce. So we put them in this little baking dish here, which was big enough for 2 people here. And that's your dish, right? If you want to make this as a side dish, these vegetables here, you could do that. But this is the base of your dish here. And you think family style here. So if you cook more and you have a bigger baking dish, then of course you can feed more people. So put the meat on top of your vegetables there, and then spoon out that lovely, lovely sauce. Look at it as it just coats the meat. You can see it glistening in the light. I didn't add photography lights here. This is just my kitchen lighting, which isn't fantastic. But just look at it as it falls over that guinea. It's just sparkling goodness. And really, I was going to cut this short to just demonstrate briefly putting sauce on your guinea fowl here. But just look at it. I wanted to keep looking at it, so I'm looking at it some more. And I figured, hey, you might want to keep looking at it as well. So it's pretty, right? It's good looking. You got lots of different colors in there. It sort of resembles a pot pie or a stew of sorts. So this is really kind of an old style recipe with my take on it. But there's nothing new here. These are green onions, the scallions, just the green parts, cut long, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. It's not my favorite. Not my favorite presentation. Probably would have been better with some parsley, but whatever. Still looks pretty cool. All right, we're going to clean the bowl up a little bit because presentation is key. If you're going to take your Instagram pictures and all of that, you need it pretty, and pretty is important. So we're going to serve this with some bread. Another key element here, because you're going to want to sop up that juice and that sauce down there at the bottom of that bowl, which is just lovely, which you can spoon out onto your plate or just leave it in there for you both to share as the dipping sauce for your bread. Where to put it, though, is really the question of the day here. Where do you put the bread for your pictures on your substandard Lazy Susan? That works. So what do you think? Looks pretty good, huh? And I'll tell you what, this was pretty good. This was fantastic, all right? This is one of the best Guinea recipes I've ever prepared. I did something similar last night in preparation for this video, and I made some alterations, but not many, and this was fantastic. Hey, if you don't like this, I don't know how to help you. This is great. This is what you do with some guinea fowl. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, the website, triplestrandrandranch.com. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.